Okay, Hammond XK3C. You've heard about it, you've read about it probably on the internet. This is the keyboard which has actually become its own little star in the history of Hammond over the last couple of years. Used by many, many, many players around the world, professional bands, home players, studio players. Incredible instrument, straight from the tone generation system of the B3, the new B3. So let's take a quick look what we do have on the XK3. Well, first of all, as you can see, it looks like a Hammond organ. Reverse coloured keys, 2 sets of drawbars, quite important if you're going to play in true authentic Hammond style. Percussion controls, vibrato, volumes, amplifiers, which has got the 2 tubes in this, a 12AU and a 12AX7. Live EQ, pitch bend modulation, and the interesting section which on that little short intro jam we played, you'll have heard a Rhodes piano appear from the XK3. Well, actually it didn't come from the XK3, it came from, in this case, a MacBook with a VST plugin. The C version came about because a lot of players are using external outboard MIDI gear. And on the original XK3, yeah, you could do it and there was no problem, but it was all in the screen. And this way, we have got now assignable real-time analog pot MIDI controller. We can do what we want with this. So basically we've got 3 for the upper, 2 for the lower, and 1 for the pedal. Well, that means that if I want to bring in, shall we say, the Rhodes piano from the MacBook, if I press upper 1, okay, I've got the piano sound. I've also got the drawbars. So because here we can actually program these presets. So a simple way for me to just bring in a Rhodes piano is to do that. It will give me a left-hand drawbar voice. Equally, I could have the Rhodes piano down there, and the organ sound up there, any point in between. You can save all this information, so when you select one of your presets, you will send out to your outboard gear exactly the program change that you want to pull out. So very, very usable. Right, so let's look at the basics of the XK3. 2 sets of drawbars. Split point is assignable. I tend to split my keyboards here, note B3. And basically what that means is lower drawbars, upper drawbars. We're actually playing this through its own internal Leslie simulator, line straight out of the back. And you will be amazed at what you can actually achieve with this instrument. When you listen to a B3 or a Hammond organ, you're not just listening to a B3, you're listening to instruments that have been mic'd different in different ambient surroundings, tweaked maybe. Well, the XK3C is a very, very, very tunable, configurable instrument. It's not just a Hammond, it's almost every Hammond organ you've ever heard in your life, because we can go inside the menu and do things which are very simple, but again, very effective. First thing I will show you on this is press the menu and we go to the drawbar. First of all, we see B-type. B-type 1, B-type 2, mellow, bright, and something called soar. So let's run through those. B-type 1, just like on the B3, very middle of the road B3 sound, a little bit of leakage, nothing too heavy, but quite a decent sound. So we add the Leslie to that, nice organ sound. B-type 2, however, has more leakage. Now if I just switch between the two of them, you can hear those subtle sort of frequencies that's starting to almost tinkle under the back of the drawbar tone itself. Next one, mellow. Now listen to the difference. And you can hear that the mellow one has got a much softer, rounder sound with less leakage. The last one, for everybody that was into all the retro bands that use the famous Italian organs, we've got right. So that's reminiscent to the old compact duos, Vox Continentals, that kind of thing. Point being, you've got so much in here, and remember that on all Hammond organs, every one of these selections that you make in the menu can be saved into a preset or a performance preset. So you've got on here, every one of these reverse coloured keys is its own bank. And by that I mean, if I press the bank button and C sharp, I then load in another set of presets. If I press D, I load in another set of presets. So it's very easy to configure this. And in another video where we look at the Pro system, we'll go in depth into that and show you exactly how you can set up various sections of the XK3 to be very useful in different scenarios. The sound engine, as we said, derivative of the B3, Vase 3, we've all heard about it. It does what it says on the tin, basically. It is the same system as the B3. So there's no real compromise in sound, but obviously here we're looking at a keyboard. What the restrictions of a keyboard are that a Hammond organ has 2 manuals, a keyboard has 1, so we have to put a split point here. It's not a bad compromise if you're just looking for something to take on the road that's going to give you a really good Hammond organ sound, good MIDI control features, looks the part, certainly sounds the part. But we designed the XK range with expansion in mind, because we find now that players are coming into Hammond organ maybe for the first time, or from 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And they sort of start off with the XK3 or maybe even the XK1, but all of a sudden they feel as though they're lacking something from what they used to have in the old spinettes like the L's and M's. So we made the XK3 range modular, and the additions you can add to this as a keyboard, first and foremost, would be a set of bass pedals, maybe an expression pedal, but the big one is the lower manual, which is called the XLK3, and that turns this keyboard into what we call the XK Pro system. So in the next video we're going to take an in-depth look at what the XK Pro system and XK3 can do in its various configurations for you as a performing hobbyist home studio musician.